Hey everyone, it's me again, Ian, and I'm back with more Audi TT Mk2 mods, fixes, and upgrades. In this video, what we'll be looking at is VCDS and clearing some errors, or more like looking at fixing that guy, so the airbag error, because I have recently done a drag day, or a drag night, sorry, and I'd removed the front passenger seat and now the airbag light is stuck on. So what I'll do now is I'll dig into VCDS. I'll just switch the screen over to VCDS and show you what you need to do in order to get that airbag light out. So usually the airbag light will go off after a few seconds of turning the ignition on and also running the engine, but obviously, as you can see there, it's still on. So switching over to VCDS, we go into select control module. Now 15 airbags is where we want to go. Great. Fault codes. And there's a whole bunch of things in there, which is not good. But you can see there, side airbag igniter, passenger side has been activated. There's all these other ones here as well, just because I've been messing around with colourMFA. So that's where the other errors are coming from. But when we press clear codes, yes, that's going to fix that error nice and easy. So with airbag errors, should they be coming from you removing a seat, when you've removed your steering wheel and you have turned ignition on, that will trigger the airbag fault code as well. Obviously when you've had an accident, but that's a different story, because then that is stored in the airbag module memory, which you have to get cleared or change with a different module. You're able to then go into the airbag module in VCDS, jump into the fault codes, and then clear the codes. So that one's nice and straightforward, and you can see that that's gotten rid of that code. The next thing that I want to do is a bit of a mod, and there was a question that came to me from from Facebook, where someone was asking about the lap timer in the middle of the instrument cluster in the fizz screen and how to get that activated. And so with the lap timer and the oil temperature, that is within 17 instruments. Now, not all clusters will have this feature. They're most likely going to be in the TTS and TTRS as the more performance-based ones. I don't think the feature is going to be in the 3.2 models, even though they were sold as the more high-end models at the beginning of the 8J's manufacture. So how do we activate the oil temperature reading within the fizz screen as well as your lap timer? Some cars will have a boost gauge as well. So where we want to go is 17 instruments. Variant adaptation. And then in the drop down list here, this is all the recorded adaptations that you can do. So you'll see going down, there are special functions 1 and special functions 2, and this is where these features lay. If you don't have these special functions, then most likely you're not going to be able to activate these features in your cluster. So we'll dig into special functions 1. And what I always like to do in VCDS is hover over sort of the boxes here and usually help bubbles pop up. So we can see there that by coding in either a 0 to inactivate something or a 1, we activate the feature. And so putting in, we can see here the first value 1, if we put that in as active, that's going to turn on your upshift indicator. Now that's only for manual transmissions only. We turn on the second value, so it would, if we were only wanting to turn on the first special function and the second special function, which is the lap timer, we would do 110. Now there's also needle sweep here, and so what you want to do is put a 1 in the third spot to activate needle sweep. So if we wanted all of these things on, the coding adaptation adjustment is 111. Too many ones. Whoops, that third one is already there. We press test, save, yes, done, go back. And that's it. Now, usually what you need to do is reset the car. And so what I always like to do is turn the ignition off and then back on. And with that special functions 1 option, that's going to help you turn on those special functions you've just activated. Now, I'm going to just show you a screenshot of what this looks like, or an old movie, sorry, of what this looks like, because obviously I've got colourMFA in the middle there, and it's not going to show those values for you as you would get with the OEM Fizz screen. I'm just going to reset that all back so that I only have the needle sweep. With colourMFA, obviously I don't need to see an upshift indicator and a lap timer because that's built into colourMFA anyway. So, oops, I'm just going to do 001, which means only the needle sweep is active. So test, save, yes, I'm sure, done, go back. Let's dig into special functions 2. So with special functions 2, where are we? Here we are. Whoops. Special functions 2 looks like doesn't exist in my instance. Yep, no, nothing lives there for me. Now, some of you guys might have some things that you can tweak in special functions too, but obviously there's nothing there in my cluster. So that's all that'll happen if you try and choose the wrong options in VCDS. You just get errors. You can't really damage anything unless you're changing coding. That's when you can change features around, and some people can really, I guess, stuff things up for themselves if they haven't taken note of what the original coding is. Also in adaptations, you can see, I can show you this because this part of the cluster is still normal. When choosing, where is it? Additional functions, we can see that we can tweak other things here that are quite instant. And so you can have a look at changing your ambient temperature, whether or not the sensor's installed, whether or not that's going to display in the Fizz screen. Your other one is display the date, and then the other one is your range. So I've got date display and range active there, but you can see if I change that all to 0, currently the coding is 011. Sorry, no, currently the coding is, I don't know what the coding is, because let's have a play around with that anyway. So let's turn all of these off. 000. You can see that the date will disappear from the instrument cluster. Then we can obviously save that and then done, go back. Otherwise, we can go back and do 111, which turns everything on. Wait, it's not going to let me because I think I needed to go done, go back. Let's do done, go back in. Additional functions, go 111. Nope, so everything's reset because I didn't do save, done, go back. So 000, that'll make the date disappear. Yep, save, yes, I'm sure, done, go back. So you can see that unless you've gone yes, I'm sure, that the adaptation is not going to stick. Let's bring that all back. Additional functions, 111, don't want that extra 0 there. Test, dates back. The range should be showing if I had the normal V screen there, and what's the other one? The range is going to show as well. Another thing you can do is tweak how you want the needles to be displayed. Now, where is that? Mileage, odo. Nope, that's not going to let you change it unless your cluster is fresh from the factory. So there are more values when you scroll down as well, so don't forget to look at those if you wanted to see everything. Here, comfort menu. So this actually turns on and off the comfort menu. So you know where you can get into the FIS menus and change your alarm tone or alarm volume, change your DRL to be on or off, those kinds of settings. That's what you can turn on or off here. So you can see that 1 is comfort menu inactive, and I've done that because obviously I've installed colourMFA in the middle, and so no longer need that comfort menu active. Otherwise there might be the risk of scrolling through colourMFA and activating, deactivating things without you seeing it because you're blind to that happening. Okay, so I'll go into coding here to show you what can be done. There's a lot of options here that can be seen, and this is where you can choose what kind of characteristics the car has. So we can see that mag ride, AFS, tire pressure monitoring, these are all things that you see warnings for in the instrument cluster. And so I've already helped a few people out when they're getting these random warnings saying, how do you get rid of this warning? I don't have this installed anymore, blah, blah, blah. So this is the last part that kind of probably won't make sense to you if you're not sure of the other dependencies of these modules. But when you look at wiring diagrams, you can see how everything's hooked up. And so when you're trying to install one of these parts and you have an understanding of the wiring diagrams, you can see exactly which module needs to be coded in or out when installing or uninstalling hardware. There's the second where that question mark is. You can set your country, seatbelt warning chime, you can set that to on or off. And this last bottom section here we can see, so changing that final number will change how the needles and the gauges on the cluster display. So the way I like it is to have the instrument cluster with just the needles always lit. And so you can see in my coding here that is a 6 because washer fluid warning active, that's on, so that's 5 plus 1 equals needles on and scales off. By scales they mean the numbers that show your tacho and your speedo. So if I were to do a plain 0, that would be needles off and scales off, as well as washer fluid warning off. So we can change that here, nice and easy, 0. So everything's turned off, no lights, coding has been accepted. Nice and easy, we can go back. So just keep in my mind that that was a 6 if I want to go back to whatever it was before. So we'll go through all the different options. Number 1, so that's needles on and scales off, so back with the needles on, but with that just being a 1, it's going to mean that I don't get washer warning, low washer fluid warnings, which I like. So option 2 at the end is needles off and scales on, so this should just turn the numbers on with the needles turning off. There we go. Okay, and then number 3 is I think everything on, needles on, scales on. Yep. So it's going to turn, whoops, I think I pressed the wrong button. No, I didn't. I think it will be needles on, scales on when I've got headlights on as well. There we go. That's why that wasn't working properly for me, because my headlights weren't on. Now they're on. Actually, let's leave those on. And number 4 is needles on and scales on. So this is saying something about ignition, so needles on and scales on. So let's do like this. So here, needles on and scales on. But if we're going to do 3, I think that's going to be, yeah, dependent on your headlights and ignition being on. So if I were to do 3 and switch headlights off, that'll turn the gauge, scales, let's use the right language here, the scales off. But then if I were to change the coding to 4, so yeah, I've just turned my headlights off now. Coding to 4, that'll turn the scales and the needles on. Yep, perfect. And then choosing option number 5. What does number 5 say? So number 5 is with the washer fluid warning. So let's just change that back to what I like it to be, which is number 6. So this is a cool coding that every cluster should have. You can customize that to your liking, which is really good. Let me know what option you like the best. This is my personal favorite option. And then when you've got headlights on, then everything else turns on with them. Headlights on, headlights off, just needles on, like that. Cool. Okay. Now, last but not least, what I'll show you guys is something to do with the AFS headlights, or the light bending headlights. Now, I have had a lot of questions regarding the coding part of these, and that would be the absolute last part of the installation of AFS headlights. There's a lot of wiring to do, there's some repinning to do at the CECM as well. But once you've got all of that sorted out and you've got communications to the headlight range module, which sits behind the instrument cluster, you'll be able to see that in VCDS there are these 2 modules here that read part number AFS module links, which is AFS module left, and then that's the hardware number, I assume, and then you got the part number AFS module rex, which is right, and then the hardware number there. Now I'll just lift up to show you the wall here. Turn the headlights on. Cool. So yeah, you can see there's the cluster headlights. All right, so I'm just gonna fiddle around with the settings here in VCDS. Let's just scan for some faults and see what's going on. We can see that something's happened here, and there was communications lost with the instrument cluster because I popped the fuse for it, messing around. So we can clear these codes, and then you can see that the modules reset down and up. Now, the way that these work and the way that you know that they're working properly is that on startup, the headlights do a little bit of a dance. So let's have a look at what they do. So they go down, out, in, and up again. So that's how you know that your AFS headlights are working properly. Now there's a really fun, I guess, adaptation or coding that I found and I wanted to try out, which is the showroom effect. I think I've got this on. No, it must have turned off by itself. Anyway, so to turn it on, You just code that into a 1, and you can see that there's a little description there that saying after activating the showroom effect, the dynamic cornering light at vehicle standstill can be demonstrated to the customer. Cool. So let's pretend we're in the showroom, we're looking at this awesome Audi TT 3.6 and we're like, yes, I really want it. I want everything that you can give me as an option. Show me how this AFS thing works. So we'll enable that, save it, done, go back. All right, cool. So I'll just get one hand on the steering wheel here, and you can see there's my hand on the steering wheel. As I'm turning to the right, the light bends to the right, back to the middle. As I'm turning to the left, the light bends to the left and back to the middle. One more time. So they bend quite a lot, which is pretty cool to see when you're driving. So you can see that there's a lot of movement in the lights here. So I'll just keep the camera still again, and you can see as I turn right and left, the headlights move by themselves, which is pretty good. So it's excellent for seeing around corners, and I assume it's designed for countryside driving. It's for better visibility as you are turning those corners. Okay, another thing to look at in this menu is this tourist solution. Now I've seen some posts recently on the TT forum that someone was trying to fix their headlights so that when they're going somewhere else in Europe, that they wouldn't be blinding oncoming traffic. And this is how you set the tourist solution. So let's just quickly go back to see how I got into that menu. So from the VCDS control module selection page, let's wait for it to come back. Yep, we select headlight range. Wait for it to load. Adaptation. Choose from the pull down menu, tourist solution. And now I've not done this before, so I don't know what's going to happen, but apparently it's meant to angle the headlights down. 1 to activate it, test, save, yes. Oh, there we go. They inch down ever so slightly, and I think I've got some kind of error because I heard the cluster beep. colourMFA is not hooked up, so it's not showing me anything. I'm still working that out for everyone, so bear with me, guys. All right, so let's turn this back because I'm not being a tourist. I'm not allowed to go anywhere due to coronavirus. This country is still on lockdown, which sucks, but we'll get there. So tourist solution, new value, let's turn it off 0. Test, save. Yes, I want to save it because I'm stuck in Australia, and it inches back up again. Cool. Now, some fun that I had when I first installed these AFS headlights was doing basic settings. Actually, no. Is there output test? This is the one I wanted to show you. So doing output tests, you can do output tests on the cluster, you can do it on the headlights, you can do it on many modules just to make sure things are working properly. So let's do this output test where you can select these different values and the headlights will adjust to that value. So first one, adjusting to lowered position. There we go, so all the way down, stop. Adjusting to raised position. So there's quite a lot of movement in these, which is really, really cool. I'm glad I upgraded to these lights. Delivery position, I have no idea what this means. So it's kind of like gone off to my driver's side a little bit. What's that? Specified position. I didn't specify any position, but anyway, so that's probably why it hasn't moved anywhere special. Outer position. Oh. Yes, the car is looking a little bit bung-eyed right now if you were to look at it from the front. And then inner position, let's go a little bit cross-eyed. Whee! You can see that the lights have crossed over. And center. Here we go. What's this? Adjusting to steering angle dependent position. Not sure if that's really going to make, oh yep, a little bit of a difference there. And stationary cornering lamp, not sure what that is, but that doesn't seem like it's done anything. Nope. Alright, cool. Okay, so that's it. That's kind of everything I wanted to show you guys. Since I was doing some things with VCDS, I thought I'd share with you some of the things that I've found out along the way, and to cover some questions that I've had come to me as well. So once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Ian with Audi TT Mk2 mods, fixes and upgrades. If you like my content, please remember to subscribe and like my channel. Hopefully I get this guy running for you guys very, very shortly. I am just ironing things out so that everything functions as an OEM cluster, basically, plus all the features that you get with colourMFA. So for now, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time. Bye.